Okay, Brent. We still need a big jump here, huh?
I'll tell you about some fun I know of in California's Calaveras County.
Sponge frog square pants.
Every middle of May they hold a gathering called the Jumping Frog Jubilee. Folks from all around bring their frogs in town and set 'em right on the spot.
Yo, yo, yo!
Each frog gets 3 jumps to prove the furthest jumping one of the lot. The Jumping Frog Jubilee, 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 the Jumping Frog Jubilee.
To me, history is important. Most of my friends, history is important. At some point, I think it is important to everybody. Our heritage, you know, where we came from, how we got here. In this place, the past is all around us. I mean, every time I plant a plant in my garden, I find a piece of the past. This building here, there was an opium den. If I go and dig over there, there's opium bottles in the ground. The Hop of Fame out here is kind of like the Hollywood stars. Every 24 feet or so, we have the frog jockey's name, the frog's name, the year they won, and the distance. It's a good part of history, too. I'm the frogmeister here, and what that is, I'm the chairman of the frog jump. I just orchestrate the people that officiate the frog jump. I'll get it worked out. First of all, I think the story was probably true. May or may not be a fairy tale that Mark Twain was telling.
The story goes, old Mark Twain was with the fellers who dug for gold.
The story sounds like a bunch of miners that in the gold rush time when they'd go out and they'd work during the week and pan gold, and then on the weekend they'd come into town looking for something to do, and I guess you can drink just so much and chase so many women and you get tired of that, and so we had to find something to do.
When he heard about a celebrated jumping frog owned by Jim Smiley, he was told.
It's this crazy little story.
It's about a man named Smiley, and Smiley bets on anything and everything.
Smiley was a gambler who came out ahead whenever bets were made. Until the day a stranger came to town and his luck turned the other way.
had this fighting dog, and he bet on this fighting dog, and he bet on a horse, he bet cats, anything. But then he had this frog. He actually trained in his backyard for 3 months.
Smiley's frog, Daniel Webster, he was called, was the finest of his kind. He'd catch flies in a snap and jump so far and so fast whenever given the sign.
So one day a stranger comes to town and bets that in one jump his frog will jump farther than Smiley's frog, Daniel Webster.
So the Smiley character goes out to the ponds there and comes back with another frog, and he gives him the frog to have a jumping contest.
But on the day that bet was made, Daniel sat there like a rock. Smiley gave him his pinch, but Daniel didn't move an inch, and so the bet was lost.
And so Smiley can't figure out, why won't this frog jump? Why won't this frog jump?
Didn't move an inch.
Smiley's heart sank low as the stranger walked away with his cat. But he soon found out more than his heart was heavy as he sat Daniel on his lap.
He picks him up and turns him upside down, and suddenly all this buckshot comes spilling out of poor Daniel Webster.
It's a shame the truth was not discovered until the stranger was well on his way.
This one guy, I guess he decided that his frog wasn't quite up to snuff. You know, he needed a little bit of an edge.
Someone had fed Daniel Webster, the jumping frog, a ton of buckshot that day.
I can see how that happens. Most of the serious professional frog jumpers are kind of like a big family. I mean, they'd help you in a minute, but when it comes to frogs, no.
The jumping frog jubilee, 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 the jumping frog jubilee.
You can go to any county fair in the state of California and you can find a rodeo and a destruction derby and a carnival and food booths, but there's only one where you're going to find a world championship frog jump, and it's right here.
It's the World Series of frog jumping. You know, I mean, that's how you say it.
Everybody that you haven't seen, all your friends and stuff that have moved away, they all come back for the fair. And that's when you get to see all the people you haven't seen for about a year. So they all come back for the fair.
What would Mark Twain think about all this? I think Mark Twain would probably sit down and write a story about it, or maybe even make a documentary. I suspect that Mark Twain would be looking for the humor and the humanity, which is really what Mark Twain wrote about. He would bring in all the different characters, and every character involved in this story, from my perspective, is fascinating.
Okay, so now we're got the Oregon Frog team.
Frog teams have their own frogs, and they all have their special techniques of jumping, how they warm the frogs and how they cool them, how they hold them, how they yell at them.
Yo! Yo!
They're very competitive.
Traveling!
Most of the time, very well mannered about it.
Hey, hold it!
We have our local team, the Calaveras team, and they've been doing this, roughly speaking, I think 20 years. There's several families involved in it. The green team, the Frog Frenzy team.
There's the Gustine team, which is the Fasanos, Borellis. There's about 40 people involved there.
The Bozos.
And them. There's Last Chance, which is Butch Alves out of Los Banos.
The Oregon team.
There's Lee Giudici's team.
And of course Lee, we can't forget Lee.
Lee's out of Santa Clara. There's Lee and Denny. And
I mean, he's the world record holder right now.
Giudici, I can't pronounce his name, and I can't think, put your arm down. But as far as individuals, it's hard to go up there as an individual because there's so much involved.
It's totally overrun by these massive teams. I mean, you rarely see an individual who has some type of preparation other than grabbing a frog out of a tank of water and flopping it out there on the stage, you know?
You pack a box of frogs up, there's 10 frogs in a box. You know, they pack in a box, that's heavy, and then you got water, and you got nets, and you got to catch them, and you got to prep them, and jump them, and stand in line, and you got to have numbers.
I'd like to see an individual go out there and, you know, compete. And that's what I'm doing. And I feel pretty good about that. You know, I mean, why not? Why not me? You know, why not an individual?
There's a lot involved. There's just a lot involved.
Okay, we have a frog named Kitty. It's going to be jumped by Alex.
The frog jump is likely one of the oldest continuing events possibly in this country. The boosters are responsible for the original paving of the highway out here. The roads were dirt here. Wall-to-wall people. I mean, there was no fairgrounds, and they had either 10 or 15,000 people here, which in 20s, that was a lot of people.
What we do and how long we've been doing it. And I was jumping in 1825. Thank you very much.
Yeah, last night was a night to remember. The wind was blowing, it was very, very cold. When you get wet and it's windy and cold, your attitude changes. The frogs didn't like it, nor did I. And so we're hoping to go out today and do a little bit of scoring in another place. We're going quite a ways away from here, but that's okay.
So I get about 3.5 hours sleep in the last 24, and we're going to go and sometime this afternoon we're going to go over again. This is our frog storage area. Frog storage and wine storage. It stays really cool down there. It maintains about 50 some degrees. And that keeps the frog down a little bit so he's not, burning and thrashing and using a lot of energy. So right there from last night is about 70 frogs. And the frogs don't drink wine, or they wouldn't be down there. Lee's one of the group that, he's ready to go all the time.
I'm leaping, I'm the rookie.
Okay.
Here's the champ right here. What does my wife say? Well, she thinks I'm wonderful.
From time to time.
And if you believe that, man, I've got some ocean frontage in Texas.
The way John and I do it is I drive, I sit here, trolling motor on the back, John rides on the front. Bought this boat for $100 from some guy in Jackson. John found the trolling motor at a yard sale. Hey kids, what'd you pay for that trolling motor? 50? 25? I made these. Just took an old hard hat, glued a 12-volt halogen bulb in it, wired it up to a little switch in the back that I put in, run it down to a cord, we hook it to a battery. He puts his knees right here, and then he just lays down over the front of it, like so. And then we came up with this. John wears this little catcher's deal, so he lays on that board, it gives him a little padding. I found this on the freeway. Reach out, grabs him up, put him in the holding bin here. It's just a trap door on here. Frogs go down, you can't get back out. We had that old stadium seat, and I'd put a couple hinges on it so we could fold it up.
Cool cup holder.
Got to have cup holder. Right there. That's for the driver.
It's tough. You got to learn to live at night. You become nocturnal for a week or so. It only takes one frog is all you need, but you got to go through a lot of frogs to find that one. That's a pretty good looking bullfrog there. We're looking for that skinnier body with the bigger back legs. They tend to be better jumpers. Pretty good looking frog, but like I say, it's obviously not an exact science or we'd have won it by now.
We want to win it because it hasn't been won by somebody in Calaveras County for like 50 years or something. I'm not sure what the exact date was, but love to see one of our names on that plaque down there on the sidewalk.
Since 1954. That's a long time.
I've been out there almost 18 years, I think it is, and I've placed in the finals one time, 7th. Michael, you got to sit down. It's the only time I've ever placed. He's 6 years old and he's placed twice. Sure would be nice to bring the trophy back home.
Dad, this is boring.
Michael, be quiet.
Oh.
Well, we're gonna have to bolt here shortly. Sun's going down.
Oh, the other week we caught about 240 to 250 frogs. Well, at first we only used to get maybe 10, 15 frogs. We thought we were doing good until I come up with this other boom deal on my truck. And me and my kid could go and we can get 60 frogs in one night without no problem at all.
This is a one-of-a-kind. This is a Frank Borelli, Gustine frog team, one-of-a-kind. I mean, he made this specifically for jumping frogs and going out and catching frogs that would ordinarily be pretty difficult to grab. I'm driving next to the canal, and then he's hanging out in the middle of the canal with the net, spotting him and grabbing him.
We call it a frog palace. This is all individual compartments, okay? That the water flows underneath the frog. It comes out and goes back in the tub, which it pumps the water all the way back in the system. I never have won it. I've got second probably, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 times. I would have gave anything to win that thing, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard, I mean.
I'm going to be heading up to Calaveras County Thursday morning, and hopefully, we'll be ready. There are a lot of families, there are a lot of teams, but we're going to give it a good run. I mean, those teams don't know what I've got coming. Who knows? You don't have to be royalty, you don't have to be a corporation. If you've got a frog that jumps and wins, that's the democratic way. I mean, it's, you win it. We'll see.
The frogs used to come from different countries and different states to enter and jump here. Do you have a photo of that? This came with a frog from China. This gentleman here, Mert Allen, was a co-pilot on that plane. I hope we always have a Jumping Frog Jubilee.
When I was a kid, that stadium out there was full. My dad would have to lift me up so I could see. Nowadays, it's losing ground a little bit, I think, because in the big cities, I don't know that kids pay much attention to who Mark Twain even was anymore. So it makes our job a little tougher to keep people familiar with Mark Twain, his story.
The green carpet is where we test our frogs, because the key to winning the Calaveras frog jump is a frog that jumps pretty much in a straight line. If he jumps 10 foot, then he turns and he jumps 10 foot, and then he turns again and jumps 10 foot, he really went a long ways, but it's measured from where he started to where he ended up in a straight line.
Get after him, get after him, get after him. Well, I'll tell you what, that was like 12 feet and 2 jumps right there, and then he saw me and turned crooked, but you level that out, that's an 18-foot jump. And I'll tell you right now, any one of us will take an 18-footer anytime we can get one.
We believe that if you're dropping that frog down a little bit, when it hits the bottom, it's going to have a natural instinct to want to jump out.
So you want to see technique?
Yeah, technique.
Just like that, and I'm going to drop it, and I'm going to get behind it and yell. And when it takes off, I'm going to keep going behind it, and I'll be diving after it, staying behind it close enough so it's going to hear me, and it's going to want to go straight and get away from me, but far enough where I'm not going to scare it to turn.
We drop him, and when he lands, see, he's ready to go. When that's why you don't jump frogs by yourself.
You know, I don't know. Come Sunday, I could be the last to laugh, you know, because I think I've got a serious shot.
Drop him down there. There he goes. Now, when we get out to the actual fair frog jumping jubilee, the intensity is just a little bit higher than it is here.
Lee Giudici's out next. Lee has a frog called Rosie the Ribiter. Here we go. Oh boy, the first one. Can you believe we have a new record? 5 3/4 inches.
It is a feeling that only one person can enjoy today. I'll tell you that.
This year's winner of the annual Calaveras County Jumping Frog Jubilee. And he's also the youngest champion ever. Please welcome from Roseville, California, 3-year-old Cody Schultz.
People still like to come to small town America. They still like to come back to the county fair.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen and admirers of the frog. We welcome you back for the 76th year of Jumping Frog Jubilee here in Angels Camp. No excuse not to come down here and jump a frog, and if you didn't bring your frog, well, by golly, it just happens we have frogs for you. We've got a whole condo downstairs.
Number one, the frog must be at least 4 inches from nose to spout to be qualified as a legal frog. We have an 8-inch pad. In placing the frog on the pad, all 4 feet must be on the pad at the time the frog leaves the pad. If the feet are hanging over, in front or back, it's off the pad and will be called back.
Off the pad, put him back on, Joe.
Once the frog is legally on the pad, the jockey may touch the frog while on the pad, tickle its back legs to initiate the first jump. Once the frog leaves the pad, the jockey is not allowed to touch the frog intentionally or by accident. The frog is allowed 3 jumps from the time it takes off from the pad. We'll have stick men on each side of the stage that spot the frog, and we will measure from the center of the pad. Wherever the tail hits at the end of the 3rd jump is where we measure to. Yeehaw!
Come on, Gap. Get a 20-footer.
Good jumps. No water.
We're on the pond at Calaveras.
Yeah, Lee, he's like a cowboy from the Old West, you know? He struts around, he's got the cowboy boots, the big belt buckle, you know? He's got this like mythology to him.
We don't consider ourselves as legends. This is one big family.
I'm part of another team, but I have frog with Lee, pot frogs. We put on some frog jumps.
and Denny, and I mean, he's kind of like my daddy, you know. I mean, anything you want to know about frogs, you ask Lee.
The frogs have their own mind, and they do not speak English either.
And once you've qualified, then you're all done with the jumping until Sunday afternoon. It's tough to do. It is really tough to do it. I know in my time, the guys that were, when I was first starting, that are doing it, and still haven't ever won.
Our team, we do it as a festival. You know, it's a big family gathering. We do barbecues and get 2 or 3 families together. It was a bunch of high school buddies, and now we've all had kids, and so now it's a bunch of high school buddies and kids and wives. It only comes around once a year. We can't hardly wait.
She just told me that they've only jumped 10 frogs. It's beastie. I said, no way, no way. They're just not up there ready to go. I mean, look right now.
I'll tell you something about every frog jockey. Every one of us is real competitive people. I've seen frog jockeys that weren't competitive, and they're not there now.
Yeah! 20-footer, go 20-footer.
Yes!
Oh! Riley, knock it off, you show off. This is just too much fun, man. We're gonna go ride rides, Michael, in just a minute. We gotta take care of these guys first. That's our priority. Yeah! Oh! Oh! Woo-hoo! Good job. Woo! Last year they cut it off at a 16, so it should be good for the final. Laura's definitely in with an 18-8. John's 17-4. Me and him are kind of on a cut, but we'll make it. We'll make it. You want this back now? I got hair on me, and I got frog on me, and I got, you name it, it's on me.
This is my 47th year in succession.
I think of it as Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and Easter and the frog jump.
Thinking back, Bob and I have been doing it for as long as we ever were able to walk. Our dads used to take us out in the truck, and we just, at the time at 4 years old or so, we would sit and watch. But pretty soon we got to where we started catching, and they were the ones sitting in the truck driving. And what's nice now is we look back and we had a lot of good memories when we were like in our teens, and we'd go out and have a lot of fun, and we'd stay out till 2 in the morning and joking around and just get tighter than, you know, real tight as a family and get to know each other and trust each other.
Home run. Off the pass.
you know, I think we're ready. I think we're ready. Just a little nervous, just those butterflies, competition and all. All right, feel pretty good about this guy. I'm gonna jump with him first.
Next.
Another team. Starbucks.
Standing by.
Oh, man, come on.
We're mean, we're green, we're loaded with caffeine. Jeepers, creepers, we are the latte leapers.
Hey, I've got two grande, nice latte.
What are we gonna do today, guys? Win!
The Starbucks people, I mean, they're really putting in a really good effort.
He's saying, let's get to the jump. Let's get to the jump. Loaded with caffeine. Jeepers, creepers, we're the latte leapers. Yay!
I mean, they have the heart. They certainly have the heart. Now all they need is the education. I'm hoping next year they'll be very competitive. And they were very kind to the boosters and they gave us coffee for the weekend, you know.
Here we come. And he looks good. He looks very good.
Giudici.
A lot of teams here today.
Better stage. Find out.
I know about Lee and Gustine and a lot of teams.
All right.
I still feel pretty good.
Buster the Frog. Let's see how Joe.
Got the right temperature here. I think they're gonna do well.
And then you have the frog's own personality, however that works in, because sometimes a frog that's capable of jumping maybe 22 feet might only jump 5 feet. He just doesn't feel like it, or whatever the case may be.
Today, man, drove a long way. So we're gonna do this.
George with the Green Mile. Okay. 4-1-5. All right, George, let's see what we can do here.
This is what we're waiting for. Here we go. All right, all right.
All right, George. Maybe you should try kissing her, George. That might work. 4 foot 11.5 inches from George and butt rocking.
This is the one. Come on. Let's go.
Watch out, George. I don't want you to hurt yourself. Key line. 7 feet 2.5 inches for George. Okay, all right.
See, I should have. So many things I could have done differently.
Sometimes they just don't jump.
Oh, nice jump. Next frog's Titanium. Gene from the Gustine team.
Come up with something new, you know? We're in the 21st century. There's got to be something else. I mean, it's not like the most violent thing in the world, certainly, but it's not the most peaceful thing in the world to do on a Saturday afternoon, you know, a scream at a frog. When I got into high school, I kind of wanted to see if I could do it because I wasn't necessarily one of the popular girls, but I had a feeling that I might be able to edge out some of the popular girls, so I participated in the pageant, and I ended up getting first runner-up, so hey. That's the thing that really bothers me about the boosters and the fair board, is that they say, we love frogs. You know, well, if you love frogs, why do you do this to them? I mean, it doesn't look like you love them. You know, it really doesn't to me.
No, I think that's baloney.
If the frogs could talk, they'd say, holy They'd be like, what are you doing to me?
Well, you don't want to get me started on that.
If you watch this, it's pretty freaky. It's pretty frightening.
I'm a scientist, and this is, you know, science does not give you an answer as to what's cruel and what's not cruel.
And the animal activists are going to be out there and they're going to freak out.
Everybody has an opinion and everybody has a point of view.
And they're going to go nuts.
I kind of compare it to cockfighting, you know, although cockfighting is illegal and it's inherently more dangerous.
And there's merit to everybody's point of view.
They don't squawk about people using animals to dissect, but they complain because we're using them to jump. You know, so I mean, I guess I really don't understand.
They have these little boxes, and they're small, little, you know, plexiglass lids.
We catch them, we put them in very safe boxes, we wash them, we feed them live crickets and worms.
If we were kicking them around and keeping them in bad water and not feeding them and mistreating them, I could see it.
And it's hot.
My feeling on this is we treat our frogs as well or better than many people treat their own children.
I've seen frogs jump off the stage and people scrambling to pick them up, and you know, frogs have been stepped on before. That's not unheard of.
Not one frog died this year on our end of it, not one. Okay, and we caught over 300 frogs. You know, you need to stop that.
The frogs we catch go back in the same waterways that they came out of. That's why we got so many different holding tubs scattered all over. If we pull them out of this waterway, they all go in one thing. It just helps with not passing a disease from one waterway to another.
Unfortunately, bringing frogs in from either all over California, and in many cases from out of state as well, if one or several of those frogs are infected with various diseases and they're placed up on the stage, when another frog is placed physically on that spot, it's just like somebody sneezing in your face.
They can celebrate frogs. They can still paint them on the sidewalk. They can still dress up like them. There's 1,000,001 things that they can do to still get the point across without doing this. Oh, just one thing. I didn't come up with this because I was mad about not winning Miss Calaveras, just for the record. It's not why I'm upset about the frog jumping. That was the one thing. She's just mad because she got first runner-up. She didn't win.
Please give a warm Calaveras County welcome to contestant number 1.
Some of you may know me as Mark Twain.
I couldn't be prouder to be representing this county. This is my home, and I love being here, and to be representing it is just an honor.
These more frog legs are about out.
Well, it's not really all about the winning. I think it's about the families. I mean, those families, they keep coming back year in, year out.
Right now, All the work that we put in to our frogs is here. And win, lose is immaterial. We are definitely going to have a party tonight. We're going to have a little libation. And it's where we can just, this is our night where we relax. Whatever happens tomorrow, it happens. And we're not going to go home crying.
I think that's what it's all about. Yeah, I wish I had, you know, my family.
It's just sort of a love-in. Everybody's good. Everybody is good.
They take all these filing boxes and they go into a room, and we have an hour and a half to tabulate all the jumps, get them in order, 50 of those top qualifying jumps. The door's locked. We have a guard so nobody's bothering them.
Okay, then we're done.
Then my job is to run up real fast to the office, have these printed out so everybody knows what order they're jumping.
You know what, we're pretty calm over there, but that's going to change in about 10 minutes.
Well, even walking over here, I started getting butterflies in my stomach just thinking about jumping up on stage and all that.
And then the main event starts.
There you go. All right, let's hear it for Fremont and our queen. Queen Anne.
I need Jacob first. Jacob first, I need 16. Spare. What do you got? 29. 29.
There's no words to describe it. I mean, you have to see it for yourself and watch that part of the frog jump to know what it is I'm talking about.
Go! Go! Go!
You have to experience the adrenaline and the fun to fully enjoy it. You have to do it to fully understand.
Go shine. $19 feet 10 inches. These are hot frogs, folks.
The one problem is that when you hold the world's record, we are not allowed to jump a frog that doesn't jump very far. This has been the longest time a record has ever been held. From 1986 to now is an awfully long time, and it speaks that Rosie the Ribiter was really the frog of all frogs.
Good job, Eddie. Bob Fasano, frog is Red Bull, Gustine Frog Team. Wow, all right. 20 feet, 2.5 inches. 20 feet, all right. Woo, one hot frog, Red Bull.
Bob's jump. It was one of the greatest follow-throughs I've ever seen, especially on the third jump. Bob's a great athlete anyway, and he was able to get that extra foot out of that frog. That's what caused him to win this frog jump.
Obviously, if the story is word for word true, the competitiveness of the frog jump has been there since the very first day that it started.
It's not meant to be taken seriously. You know, there's no aspect of the story that's meant to be taken seriously.
Just don't drink if you're going to jump frogs.
I think it's about pride goeth before the fall. Don't go bragging around, because somewhere out there, someone's going to prove you wrong.
I don't suspect that 100 years from now, human nature is going to be any different than it was 100 years ago when Mark Twain wrote that story.
I feel good.
Mark went with Oregon Frog Team.
Next year should be good.
Oregon Frog Team. Okay.
Unbelievable.
I feel like I could live forever.
Michael was
14
months old.
He drooled on the frog.
Yeah, he went out there and he put the frog down. He'd been over and a big thing of drool come out of his mouth and hit the frog in the back and boom, took off.
He went to the finals with that.
No.
I'm a heavy man. There's times we go catch frogs in the middle of the night and we're coming up and Lee's running the motor and I'm catching this boat. And I'm there trying to catch his boat, and I Lee, more, and he goes, I can't, I look back, Lee's out of the water. And I'm leaning so far over, he goes.
He outweighs me by a couple of pounds.
And the spot where the third jump ends up, I'm blowing it.
Frank gets in the truck, so we forget all about the boom, okay? And as you go down the canal, you know, they got these big standpipes about this big. We're going down there talking, pretty soon, boom! The whole bed of the truck caved in.